Well, Ian, what other questions do people normally ask about the seminar? What do they want to know?
Yeah, some folk get a bit like, wow, this seems impossible. I mean, we all Dr. Dolittle talking to the animals or whatever, seems crazy and impossible. So how do we find our way as a modern person into such a realm which appears to be an ancient capacity, which in some parts of the world is apparently still natural? And how do we come back? Is it safe? Am I going to flip out? Or so that's one of the questions. And the thing is, yes, it is safe because we only enter into what I call the circumconscious. There are three aspects of reality that the everyday human consciousness is unconscious of. So there's the subconscious, which 100 years ago or 120 years ago was hardly even a concept. People didn't know anything about it. It's only through Freud and Jung and Saggioli and Adler and some earlier on who've raised this up as, and now it's everyday term. So the subconscious, as your awareness grows, it's a light and it begins to shine into aspects that were previously unlit. So awareness shines into the subconscious and begins to perceive it. Can be a little bit unsettling unless there are techniques, which there are now available to harmoniously work with your subpersonalities or whatever. And then there's the superconscious. So in the seminar, we might touch on first upper levels of the superconscious, which is your own spiritual being. So your own spiritual being resides in the superconscious realm. And in the seminar, we do touch into that, but it's quite safe. It's empowering to know that you're a spiritual being, not just a temporary provisional ego. And so we can also touch into the top safe layers of the subconscious, which helps and means of getting through life without these little hidden hindrances we put up to ourselves all the time, or so often. Not all the time, but too often. But we just touch on those. Those are the areas which one needs to come to only when the person's ready. And so the superconscious and the subconscious, they're safe areas, but we just only touch on them in the seminar for good, purposeful, safe reasons. What we primarily work with is the circumconscious, of which most people are unaware. That is, the world around us is conscious and aware and busily getting on with their own things in an intuitive network that shares whatever's needed everywhere. So, for instance, there's a movie, Avatar, James Cameron, and nature on the moon, I think it is, and Pandora is aware and sensitive and communicating with each other, and it has nexus of different levels of being and so forth. That's how our planet is. And we, as human beings, are wandering around in a locked-in mind state within our own mind, with our own thoughts bouncing around like balls in a squash court. And how do we get out of that locked-in state of mind to discover everything else is aware? So it may seem weird, but actually the weird thing is the locked-in state of mind. Gautama Buddha, who lived into his 80s, spoke of his, someone else did the writing, but he spoke of his first experience of nirvana. And he said, I entered into the fourth level of meditation, which was utterly pure and thoughtless, pure awareness, in other words. And he said, I came into this realm of nirvana like a baby chick breaks out of an egg. So that's its perfect example of this locked-in state of mind. And you're like, oof, and then, wow, it's this rest of the world that's there already. And this is 2,600 years ago. But I think now, with the advent and evolution of human consciousness, we are, the everyday person is now capable of this in a weekend. That's what Rudolf Steiner brought anthroposophy for, so that consciousness evolution could go to the next step. Because I think without advanced, accurate, intuitive knowing, we're going to carry on humanity shooting itself in our foot and not being in a proper relationship with nature, because our intellect keeps on making mistakes, because it's only dealing with a small portion of reality. This is anthroposophy. That's why it's relevant today.
Yeah.
As my family, yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Wow. I mean, it sounds so exciting because we all can explore a whole new world and we don't have to do it on our own. We have a team and you've developed techniques so that we can really be efficient and have a sense of safety while we do that.
Support's super important. And the part of the technique is you have a peek into this world, you choose areas of particular interest and you stay in there. And then there are techniques to make sure that awareness comes back into your body.
Yeah.
Back and safe and strong and there.
Yeah.
Back inside the egg, so to speak.
Great. Yeah, one question comes to mind right now, Ian, is what about prerequisites? Would I have to have knowledge of Rudolf Steiner, of anthroposophy? Do I have to have read any of the books, or what about that?
No prerequisites whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
This is anthroposophy means it gets translated or explained differently, but I think it's anthropo is the human being, of course. Sophie has to do with wisdom. And it's not wisdom about the human being. That's anthroposophy as a body of knowledge. It's wisdom within every human being.
Mm-hmm.
And we just need to find a key to open the door to it. And that key is awareness as a light of knowing. It's a great sense of truth. So, no, I've had folk turn up who know nothing about Rudolf Steiner, businessmen, artists. Yeah. When I say businessmen, of course, women can be business women, but I'm thinking about someone in particular in Hong Kong who came along as because his wife basically said he had to. And he was a materialist and the world was a physical thing. And he was like, well, I'm busy, but I guess I'll come along. And he had a ball. And at the end of the day, he was he could use these techniques. And he said to me on the Sunday, he said, this is going to be very useful in my business. He said, I will know who I can trust now. Because you develop the capacity to know truth. Because awareness is the sense of truth. Because it's awareness knows reality. Truth is reality. So, yeah, in other words, no, fine.
All right. So
You
if I'm a
you
total,
don't have to be spiritual. You don't have to be anything. All human beings are already spiritual.
Mhm,
You see, this is not about thoughts. This is about direct experience, which are not thoughts.
mhm.
Thinking
Yeah.
about
So
thinking about a brick wall is very different to running into it or building it.
okay, so that's great. If I'm a total beginner in this, I can come.
Yes,
And
yes.
what about the age? I mean, if people are very
Okay.
young or very old, does that matter in any way?
No, not at all. Neither gender. No. Some people are naturally very intuitive, and others are stronger in their intellect. And so each of us brings with us our instrument of knowing, and it is made differently. There's there's a physical body with a nervous system and blood circulation system, rhythmic system, metabolic system. We have our energy that's keeping us alive, and we have a soul structure, a consciousness, and we have our being that shines into us and from our higher self. So it's the same design, so to speak, the same formation, but they're all very different. So people have different types of bodies. Some are very sensitive, some are very robust, some we have different energies, we have different soul takes on the world, and we have, yeah, different spirits.
Hmm.
So so when folk come, they bring this into the seminar. So I have to be sensitive to how do we work with this because different human instruments of knowing are at different levels of intuition. But
Hmm.
sometimes when you have to work hard, you become better at it.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
So I
great.
think there are no prerequisites and there are no limitations by age, by gender, by occupation.
Hmm. Good. Yeah.
Yeah,
And what I've been hearing is, Ian, that it's a very practical thing, so that
yes,
we somebody who participates can expect to get really techniques, exercises that they can
yes,
continue to practice, right?
yes. Both for the self-transformation path, the improvement of the instrument of knowing, that is your human being in its totality, like I've already just described, but also in the techniques of doing spiritual research into the circumconscious world around us, and the world of nature, and into things. So, um, roads are beings as well, cars are beings. Everything, everything has being. If it is, it is being, isn't it?
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's a being. It's very interesting. Buckminster Fuller, the famous architect and futurist, he wrote a book called I Am a Verb. And he starts off by saying, here I am in the world. I do not know what I am, but I'm sure I'm not a thing. I'm not a noun. I am a verb, a process that is an integrated function of the universe.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah. There are just so many people who are onto all sorts of things. So
Yeah, yeah,
one of the things, it's not just Rudolf Steiner. Rudolf Steiner summarizes so much and is a big light, a beacon. But there are many other beacons who can help bring things together.
yeah. Yeah. And what I see that we are coming to the edge of or the boundaries of where we can explain it with our intellect. So it's
Yeah,
probably
exactly.
best if people just come and they're courageous enough to come to a seminar and experience it for themselves. There are so many benefits that they can
Yes,
gain.
yes. And it's
Yeah.
fun, and you meet new folk perhaps who have a similar outlook on life,
Hmm.
and you can everything, whatever you're doing, whether it's art or business and homekeeping and gardening, or everything benefits when you can get to know the phenomena that you're working with in a much more personal, friendly way. Now, one
Yeah.
of the big things I've had too is that it gives courage, and it also means that a person is never ever lonely ever again.
Mm.
Because this loneliness is because we're in this locked in mind. And when it becomes a bit negative and the, the thoughts and feelings are bouncing around that are destructive, and then the eggshell of this locked in mind becomes thicker and we feel more and more alone. Nervous system begins to get cramped. So, how to find our way out? When you can pop down and have a chat with the local tree, you never feel alone again. You know, Joan Baez, the singer, she in a recent interview, she said, "Oh, I dispensed with psychotherapists long ago." She said, "I go down to the bottom of my garden and I talk with my trees." And she said, "They are so on the point.
Mm.
They send me in the right direction. They sort my problems out." And she does this.
Amazing. Well,
Yeah,
there's a whole new life waiting for us, right?
that's it.
So
Yes.
thank you very much for
Um,
answering the questions. And I think there will be many more, but if you as a listener here have more questions, we invite you to come to seminar and they can ask you directly, Ian, right?
yes, indeed. Yeah, I'd be very happy to help open the door into this new world.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, my pleasure. Thank you.